Hey, welcome to Recruit Nation Sports, powered by the Dream Scout and Network with Coach Ant and Coach Creek. On today's show, we have Coach Kelly of the WPI Engineers. He's the offensive coordinator for that school. Coach Kelly, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Great. We are glad to have you on the show today. We did a little research on WPI over in Worcester, Mass. It's one of the schools in our roundabout that we're doing this year. We've already done Springfield, we've done Norwich, and now we are with WPI right now. So, Coach, before we get into anything else pertaining to the school, can you just give us a little bit on your background?
Yeah, sure. First off, obviously, thanks for having me on here and giving me the platform to talk about our school. To give you kind of my background to start off is my dad was a football coach everywhere when I was growing up at the Pop Warner and high school level. I remember being in diapers with a coaching kind of clipboard on the sidelines, drawing stuff up. And then when I was old enough, running and grabbing the tee and doing those kind of things, which is a great experience now looking back at that's awesome. Hopefully I get to do the same thing someday from the opposite side. And then kind of obviously played all through my background. Went to St. Anselm College in New Hampshire, Division II school. Was there for 2 seasons. So the staff that had recruited me as a freshman, they had gotten let go after my freshman year, kind of in the springtime. We had a new staff in. Just wasn't the right fit for me and ended up transferring. I transferred to Anna Maria College, which is actually not far from us here in Worcester. Was there for the first year of their program ever. So the first year they ever had football, I transferred in for that. And that was my junior and then senior year. And then after that, I've been coaching ever since. Started out as a graduate assistant there. I was able to go to the University of Rhode Island for a season, which was probably where I learned probably the most I've ever learned. I don't know if I was necessarily ready for that opportunity at the time as a young coach, but definitely learned a lot, recruiting and just coaching and how to deal with kids and how to deal as a staff and things like that. Then I was lucky enough to get a job at Pace University in New York. Where for me as a younger coach, it was my first full-time opportunity. I definitely had a bigger ego than I needed at the time, thinking I was 23 years old being full-time. And then after that, I guess unfortunate for me, but the head coach was let go. So we were all kind of let go after that. And I've been at WPI ever since, 7 years now. And it's a great place to be. I guess that was the quick version too.
That's crazy. It's me and Creek have a lot of connections with all those places you named. It's funny. My mother-in-law is actually a graduate of Anna Maria College, and we both have a mutual friend, actually Creek's brother, that was All-American at Pace, and I think he can elaborate on that a little more, right now. But
I do kind of want to hear it because I could tell you that it's a different place now too than when I was there 7 years ago. They've gotten it a lot better than it was now. I think they were tied in the top half, at least of the NE10 the last time we played 2 falls ago. So they got it rocking and rolling there now anyway. But
yeah, they got a lot of new toys there too. From what I had actually call with Coach Duffy Brennan. Shout out to him. He's actually recruiting one of our dream athletes. So hey, Coach Brennan, if you're watching or listening, shout out to you. Yeah, so just want to get into some things about WPI and the school and the athletics and the football team. So Creek, I guess you can start with some questions that you have, and then we can talk about some other things later.
Well, welcome, Coach. Thank you for your time today. WPI, I have researched, is a pretty incredible school. I know the founder of Foursquare is a graduate from there, and the creator of the insulin pump, and many people who have done innovative things, have all come from WPI. So, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the programs and the education that people can get there?
Yep. So our education, I like to think of it as nationally top notch, as in it's something that you can kind of do anything you necessarily want to when it comes to it, but it's something that It's definitely different than just any other school in the region. Where it's a national kind of forefront when it comes to that. And we're obviously known for engineering. When you look at the different classifications, if you look at our team, mechanical and civil engineering are probably the two biggest that we have representation of. But we also have electrical and computer engineering, which is pretty big. We've got aerospace engineering, which is pretty cool. So if you think of the things that WPI is known for, the father of modern rocketry. So if you think of being a rocket scientist and things like that, and then kind of the newer things, I guess you'd say, would be biomedical engineering, which I can go on days and days and days talking about some different stuff that our kids have done. But one of the cool things that a former professor here had done, and I don't know all the details. I'm just a football coach, and I have a sports management degree, so it's above my brain kind of knowledge here. But was able to kind of see with like heart transplants that a spinach leaf has the same like veins and arteries in it as the human heart. They're able to use a spinach leaf in doing those kind of things. So way more than I know, but able to do that in the biomedical world. And then computer science has been a pretty big thing going forward too. We've actually done some different things with like data analytics. And then we do actually have, no one thinks of it because we're so far known for an engineering school, but we do have a pretty good business program as well.
Nice. So, I guess we can delve into some more stuff. Creek, you can lead into that too.
Well, one thing that I thought was impressive was I think it was just the class of 2019, but the average salary for all the graduates of 2019 was a little above $72,000 a year. So to come out, making that means that degree is packing some punch. So that's a great thing for Worcester Polytech.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the things we talk about sometimes when you think of it. It's difficult to think about when you're a 17-8-year-old kid deciding where you want to go to school. But think about the back end of it. What you're going to make is that's your starting salary too. That's not what you're going to make in say 5 or 10 years as you kind of work your way up the ladder at a company or at a firm or whatever it may be. So that's definitely a selling point when you think of that. That's what you start with. I don't know what that money's like. I haven't made that yet, so it'd be nice to know. Maybe when our kids graduate, I always tell them if we can switch salaries, I'm good to go. But
Yeah. Molding kids doesn't always pay that well. So, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know a few graduates from that school, and a lot of them, not a lot of them, but pretty much all of them are doing pretty well. Like they're all doing very well, in their careers right now. So,
do you want to expand on that at all, or kind of give any shout outs or anything?
Yeah, I guess shout out to my wife. She's a graduate. Shout out to my sister-in-law. They're gonna kill me. And shout out to all their friends. They're pretty much testaments of the power of a degree from that school and how much that degree is actually respected, and what it respected in the world and what it can do. So just knowing about that and knowing the types of alumni that have came out of there, if I was a parent and you were talking to me and, my household are talking to me over a Zoom about what the power of a degree from WPI can do for you, I would be a strong advocate, in your corner to, agree with you and, tell these parents that, it's pretty powerful and you can go a long way. And, their alumni is broad and has some really, really, really great connections. So,
I'm sorry for putting you and your wife on a spot, but I can tell you it's going to sound much better coming from you than me sometimes. So I had to put that out there.
I know.
So, Coach, I want to ask, what is campus life like right now with the current, pandemic going on? Are classes in session? Is it virtual?
So it's a hybrid model right now. So our school has come up with, they call it Tech Flex, and there's levels in between it. And right now we're in like a modified version of it where like our rec center would be open, but it's only for like individual workout times and zone areas that we have. And there's some classes that have been able to get back with like in-person labs, but for the most part been kind of hybrid. I'm actually a PE teacher as well. And I've actually started to have some in-person PE classes, which is fun to kind of get out there and get the kids grind a little bit with plyometrics, doing some explosive jumping and a lot of stretching and yoga too, but some definite explosive jumping to get us going. But it's kind of a different than normal vibe where normally campus is bustling and people are walking, a lot more people are walking around, but there still is some activity. It's just not as big as normal, which is obviously a detriment to how cool it's a community kind of set up on our campus, but it's still pretty movement. Especially today, it's a little nicer than it has been. Almost, I think we touched 40 degrees as opposed to all the snow and cold we've had.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
So go ahead, Ant.
No, go ahead, Creek. Go ahead.
So as we're speaking about the pandemic, have you faced any challenges on the recruiting side, due to this?
Yeah. So obviously it's one of those things. I don't think of challenges as something that's a detriment. It's obviously something you have to overcome and just makes you better. But as we look at things, the thing about our program that we can, I guess you'd say sell, I don't think of it as selling, but would sell the most is our family atmosphere and how close we are as a team and how close our team is to us as coaches and how much we care about each other and really care about everybody being their best. We're not able to have those visits where you can spend time with our team and feel that, spend time with us as coaches and feel that. It's not, you get it on a computer screen on a Zoom or a FaceTime call, but it's just not the same as being around it and seeing the stuff that you kind of take for granted. Even just walking around campus on a tour, if we see a young man in our program, might be like, oh, what class are you just coming from? How was it? What are you doing in that class? What project maybe are you working on? Just to kind of hear those examples that are just off the cuff is something that is huge, I think, for us, and something that we're missing right now. Something that we're obviously trying to do whatever to overcome because everybody's facing challenges. But I'd say for us, that's the biggest one, to kind of be around our team and feel to be a part of it. And that's usually when we have our overnight visits, after you're around our team, you commit on the spot. So missing that one a little bit right now.
Take them. Nice. When you do the overnight visits, do you take them down the hill to what's the restaurant called?
The Boynton?
Take them to the Boynton?
Yeah, so that's our suggestion for parents, yeah.
I think if they had that tower, they'd commit after eating those.
Oh, yeah.
I always feel that Worcester's an underrated city because I feel like, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that you can have just as good a time there as you can in Boston. You know what I mean?
As a younger adult, not right now, obviously, but as a younger adult, I definitely confirm you, but I'm not going to go into detail. But yeah.
Worcester's a good time. I've hung out there a little bit, So
one thing I wanted to jump onto what Creek's point about that is a lot of people don't understand that Worcester really has like really good food spots. They really do. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I went to a food truck festival with and I forgot what park it was, but it was around the corner from the Boynton. And there were just so many restaurants, like all different types of food, Italian, Spanish, Middle Eastern, and it was just so great. And I was just like, man, like all these places packed into one area, and and it was just incredible. It was almost like, in terms of food, I never compare places to New York and stuff like that in terms of variety, but for the size that it was, Worcester had like that type of variety. Like whatever you wanted, you could get it. and I think that's the beauty of that area. And another thing too is, as a college student, I would say it's good because there's so many colleges in that area. You know what I'm saying? You guys, there's Clark, and there's Assumption, to name a few, and there, there's others within range. Holy Cross, there's so many in that one area. So, as a college student, just compounding off of that, you would say there's a lot of opportunities to meet different people from different schools and different areas, and and just hang out and all vibe together. So, I think that's a plus to you guys too.
I would say to just expand on that a little bit, it's like it's either this week or usually last week. It's usually restaurant week as well over here. So we get some like deals and stuff like that. But obviously with little restrictions, they're not doing it as big as they normally do. For me, that's usually an opportunity to get some better restaurant deals that I normally wouldn't eat at, kind of thing.
And then, beer and one in the chop house.
Yeah, exactly. And then with what we're saying with the 7 colleges in a 5-mile radius right here is we tell the incoming kids or kids on our team or whatever it may be that there's always someone your age that wants to do something that's going on in the area. There's never an excuse like no one else wants to do it. Even playing video games, I'm sure there's some chat room or whatever that you can get on nowadays and play each other.
Yeah. So let's go into I guess what everybody wants to hear about is the football team, your goals, and like pretty much what kind of offense you run and what you like. So I guess the first question I'm going to start off with is just give us a layout of your program, like a quick I guess a framework of the program of the engineers, right? That's what you guys are called, right? So
Yep, we're the engineers with Gompy the goat is our mascot.
Okay, so can you tell us why the goat is your mascot? Just Gompy the goat is your mascot.
Oh, you put me on the spot. I actually don't know, but it's similar to, I don't know the exact details of it, but it's similar to kind of like the goat at Wrigley Field. Like the Billy Goat kind of thing, the curse of that. But it's like one of the very first students had brought a goat to games all the time and to campus and whatnot, and their last name was Gompy, and that's why it's become Gompy. I butchered it, but that's the gist of it.
No, but you taught me because I didn't know. I always wanted to know why. So now you taught me. So I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you taught me that lore now. So I'm good. But Creek, you have any questions you want to go on to about
related? Yeah. So does the program have, say, a motto, a mantra that you continuously follow, or each season that you kind of go by? Something that you
so we kind of change it up a little bit. We have we always say engineering excellence for the school is one of the things we always follow, and roll tech is just something that we've always said. And then each year, Coach Robertson, our head coach, kind of works with the seniors and the captains to kind of come up with like what's our mantra. Our last season that we played, we were brick by brick. At that point, the senior class we had a large senior class, and a lot of them had played since their freshman year and kind of built things brick by brick up to that point, which is pretty big for us. And what we've used right now was one of our captains is a member of the ROTC program, and he came up with, and our whole group agreed with it, that the only easy day was yesterday is what we've been kind of using throughout this COVID era of our program. And then when we talk about us on offense, so we use a lot of mantras, I guess, as I keep going, but when we talk about us as offense, we've kind of changed it a little bit here and there, but it's always the same kind of theme of we over me, that the team is above ourselves. And one of the things we're going to adopt, and meeting with the kids later on this week to kind of give them this, but something we've developed with some of our offensive leaders, and something for me personally is we're going to start saying your best for 6. Meaning that it's always giving your best in 6, and 6 being the number, because it has a couple of different things to it. So the longest game we've played in, which was this past year against MIT in double overtime, would be like 6 periods per se. The longest portion of an average football play, it's 4 to 6 seconds, so 6 seconds. And then obviously we're on offense. Every time we touch the ball, we want to score. So the end result would be 6 points, not taking the extra point for granted. So that's kind of our mantra as we go forward, and those are the ones that we've used in the past.
Okay, great. What can you quickly tell us about Coach Robertson?
He's awesome, and I guess would say a family man. Worried about the family of our program, and a great kind of leader to follow, and always worried about the best interest of our kids, which is why I've been here for 7 years. That's why I've been here, knowing that the kids' best interests are always at the forefront, and knowing that's something for me to live up to every day too, to make sure that everything I'm doing is to get the absolute best and provide the best for the kids in our program.
Great.
Nice. So I saw, I just, did a little digging, and I saw WPI's record since 2014, and you guys are 38-15 since 2014. And I saw, just the amount of points that you guys have put up, which, equates out to you guys having a pretty prolific offense. So,
Yes.
I guess you can give yourself a pat in the back for that, because, as much as the kids are a part of the offense, you do orchestrate that. And, that is, your game plan. And that's, they're running your baby, the car, they're the drivers, but you built the car. So, I just wanted to, just talk about that a little bit, and just, you could just tell us, just basically what type of offense you run. Are you aggressive, or, a little bit on that. So can you just tell us about that?
Well, really quickly, I noticed last year you had a great season at 10-1. And you did have a balanced attack. So I would love to know, balanced attack, between running and passing, and and you were averaging 43 yards a game. So yeah, offensive coordinator, let us know what you doing over there.
I don't do anything. It is all the kids. No, but it really is, to be honest with you. We were lucky enough that if you looked at our starting 11, we had 10 seniors. And when we graduated, the school's all-time leading rusher. The running back, who I wouldn't say behind him, I think they shared everything together. He still finished 9th all-time playing together at the same time, and he missed all of his junior year. And he actually this past season set the single season school record for touchdowns in a season. So to have those two guys in the backfield is big. And I always talk about, I'm going to go on and on and on talking about this stuff, so I apologize now, but you guys gave me the question, so you gave me the floor.
No, go ahead. We love offense anyway, so go ahead.
And then our receivers, who I don't think get enough credit, they were phenomenal for us. One guy was a first-team all-conference player, but all four that played the majority of the snaps were good players for us. And then they didn't get enough for us, but one of the guys one of my recruits from New York that I'm always excited about for the past couple of years, but he was the returner of the year in the conference his sophomore year, and was also another receiver, had 2 touchdowns for us this year. That could have been even more, just he didn't get enough touches because of the other guys ahead of him. So we had at least 5, and there was another guy who kind of battled some injuries as a senior, but was our 6th receiver, and they were all seniors. So to have that with us was awesome for our passing attack, and our offensive line that had all started every game as juniors and then seniors. The only thing we did is replace the right tackle, who was a first-year starter for us last year as a junior. So to have that, and then our quarterback is, as much as we'll talk about here what our offense is, and I like to think it's awesome, and like to think that I'm do a great job of giving them what to do. It's tough to be a quarterback in our offense sometimes because we ask you to do a lot, and the more that you show you can do, the more I'll give you. So it's kind of like one of those, it's a catch-22. The more that you can do, the more you get to do. So it's, are you ready for it and prepared for it? But he was phenomenal and a true dual threat in every way. And we didn't run him as much just because we didn't have to, but he was a phenomenal athlete and could be a receiver or a running back on any team with his pure athleticism, never mind being smart and being a great quarterback. And I honestly miss him. And now that you say that, I'm going to have to call him after this, how much I miss him and love him. But he's moving on too. And we're not sure who our quarterback's going to be when we get to play again. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of shakes out. But that was our group this past year, and it was phenomenal to have them. And then as you kind of go through what we do on offense, I was lucky enough. I've been here for 7 years, but I haven't been the coordinator for all 7. So I've only been the coordinator for the past 3 seasons that we've had. I was lucky enough to learn under Neil Hitchen was the coordinator here. I was lucky enough to learn that. So it's the run game is what I got from him. We just kind of changed a lot of things we do or call it, but it's all kind of from it. It's actually all old ass. Oh, sorry, my language, but it's old wing T. All understanding wing T setup. Just we do that out of the gun, and we have a lot of fun with it. He used to call it smoke and mirrors, and we just call it it's misdirection that's going to run down your throat. But so I kind of got that from him, and then when I was at Pace, I had started out on offense before being a defensive backs coach there, and I learned some West Coast style passing game stuff, and that's what all our passing game is. We've kind of made it more rules that work for us and more simplified, but it's timing and everything matters. When we teach our quarterbacks, teach them a different kind of way they use their pocket presence and how they hitch up to different things, and it kind of gives them an internal mechanism too to realize if I've made 3 hitches, I might want to get the heck out of Dodge. Someone might be coming through here now too, kind of thing. So the way we teach that, I think, is helpful for us. And then we get into each season and every game, we talk about the 4 things we want to do on offense. And this kind of dictates everything, how we set everything up, how we have fun, how we have formations and different things like that. But it's the first thing we want to do is run the ball well. And the way we think of that is depending upon the game, depending on how many plays we get in a game, all those kind of things, it's at least 3.6 yards of carry is what we look at. Because if you do that 3 times, you're going to get a first down. That's how we look at that.
Simple math, right?
Yeah, well, we say over 3.5 because you can't trust the refs. So you can't trust the spot. That's how we do that. And our guys are true math guys too. So based on that, whatever. So I go with them. I let them have some fun with it, but that's why. So it's over 3.6, which we average that over that for the year, which is good. Then with our next pillar is to pass the ball effectively and efficiently. So as we look at it, we try to aim for, which is a huge number, but we're pretty close to it every game, and we go through it. It's 10 yards a completion, and if we can get at least over 8 yards average an attempt, which if you look at our stats, if you go by the game log, I think we only threw this year over 20 times, I think once, and that was our Springfield game where we had to we had to do everything we needed to do to get that done. I think we threw over 30 times. So that's kind of our pillar. I like to say it's a look at like completion percentage, but as you talk about, are you aggressive? I take a lot of shots and encourage our quarterback to take shots. So obviously your completion percentage is going to go down when you like to throw the deep ball. So that's, I guess, not as relative in our metric of how we measure it. And then the one thing we're going to improve on is, and we did a good job of it, we just didn't track it as coaches, is one of the things is big plays and explosive plays. So we had stopped tracking it for my first year. We had over 3 a game, which we had done. My second year, which is a down year for us offensively, we weren't as potent, I guess you'd say. We did have some injuries and more juniors that are trying to figure things out as being first-time starters. We didn't necessarily average that, so we kind of took that out of our metric. But this past year, we averaged over 5 a game, and obviously we had some success. So we're going to put that back into that as our goal to kind of have that 5+ explosive plays a game. The third thing we do is we talk about tempo. We're one of I feel like an outlier now. We actually use a huddle, which I don't even know if kids even know what that is nowadays. But we use that. And that's
Batman on the sideline.
No, we don't make the quarterback run over their sideline. Although I will say, so sometimes this year, what we've done in some of the games that we were just very good. And to be honest with you, the best thing for an offense is a good defense. Our defense was just as good, if not better. So we obviously were in some games with some scoring differentials that we weren't used to or not necessarily trying to do either. So there's a couple of times when our backups are in that I had the quarterback come over to get the play. 1, so it took longer on the play clock, and 2, because there wasn't enough kind of basic stuff on the wristband that we had that week that we could call and not be like, oh shoot, this might score. So so we did do that a little bit, but that's not in our system. We're not trying to go slow. It's just we use the huddle. I like it personally. I always think of things, you coach the things that you needed as a player. I played in a huddle and no huddle systems. And for me to be able to kind of reset mentally to get to the next play, going into the time back to the huddle, let me kind of do that self-talk, let me kind of get over things that maybe went too well and I was super amped, or things that went really bad and I wasn't too excited about my confidence level. It kind of gave me that reset as opposed to lining up and playing the next play when it's still kind of floating in my head. So that's why we huddle. It's not a tempo thing, but we just didn't I shouldn't maybe give this to defensive guys that listen, but oh well. But we did have some more tempo stuff that we could do. We just never needed really to use it, to be honest with you. And we never really got into it, but we had signals for everything we do, which is, as the other reason why we huddle is that takes so much time and effort just to make up signals when, to be honest with you, you might use it 3 times. But so that's our third pillar. Our last one is control the ball. And that's mean no turnovers. And that we like to say it that way instead of saying no turnovers, because that puts a negative connotation on it. And the first thing your kind of mind does when you think of no is you end up doing it. So we try to control the ball instead of saying no turnovers. And we did a phenomenal job of that. Our quarterback's touchdown interception ratio was the best it's been in 3 years. Our running backs did not fumble until our bowl game, the last game, so the 11th game of the year. So that shows you the kind of effort that our guys put into the things that we preach. And those are the 4 things we really base our offense off of. But it's a wing T style run game, which really has worked out for us. Everything's based off of power. And that's just kind of our philosophy of we want to try to impose our will. Whether we're going to do it or not, we'll see. But we want to have the audacious confidence that we're going to. And everything flows off of it. And when it's the play action pass and the different perimeter run pass option kind of stuff that we do. And then once you're trying to sell out and stop the run, then we're going to throw down the field vertically, or at least threaten you vertically so our receivers can stop, catch the ball, and then make you miss and go score. The other thing we do say with our skill guys, if the first guy tackles you, you're out and the next guy's in. So that kind of gives them that thought process of you don't get tackled by the first guy. And if you go and watch our film, like even if the first guy might make the play, there's always somebody else in that has to come in and help him for the tackle. It's not usually just a one-on-one kind of situation. And that's just when you preach it, you got to enforce it too. So if our stud running back gets tackled by the first guy, the next guy's in. And that's one of the things too, that the kids, when they know that you mean it, they're going to believe it.
Wow, I've never heard of that, like, in terms of like motivation, but like, I think more schools should use that actually. Like, it's almost like, hey, we got another guy waiting in the wings. So make a play, make a play, make a play. Instead of saying make a play, you know what's gonna happen if you get tackled on that first run. You're gonna give somebody else a shot.
It was like when my dad told me when I was a kid, if I ever got caught from behind, it was gonna be a problem. So I've never got caught from behind, but
so give you an example of that. So my dad's an offensive line coach. That's kind of his background. He was a linebacker and he played O-line kind of deal. And he was always be joking with me, threatening me when I was younger. If I got caught from behind, that means I had to switch to O-line kind of deal. I was always a quarterback and receiver growing up. So that means I was that slow.
It's always some type of motivational threat. But that's football.
So speaking of offensive line, I noticed there's another Coach Kelly on the staff. Is any relation to you, or?
Yeah, so the dad there that I talk about, that's him.
That's him. All right.
All right. So
I talk about him. It's actually kind of funny. So I talk about him. It's Coach Kelly Sr. or Coach K. And to be honest with you, some like people in our athletic department didn't know at first that we were related because we are a little bit different personalities too. I got to thank my mom for that, but no, I think it's a special thing. But to be honest, like he works for us on offense, but he works for Coach Rob. It's not any kind of thing where it's like that, but. But I can share stories if you're going to ask more questions on it. But I'll leave it at that for now.
We might get into that a little later about the elder Kelly. Shout out to him as well. But one thing I wanted to touch on too is that bowl game, because a lot of guys don't know that D3 schools actually get to play a bowl game. So who did you guys play against in that game? And like what was that? Because I'm pretty interested in that as well, because I didn't know myself. So
we played Western Connecticut State, which is actually in the MASCAC, which is the Massachusetts State College Conference. But what they played, it's called the New England Bowl Series. So they do 2 games, and it does the one team from each of the 4 conferences in the Northeast up here. And they do that based off too, like the team that qualifies for the playoffs is obviously the 1 seed. It's usually the 2nd seed unless someone was lucky enough to get an at-large bid into the playoffs as well. So we were lucky enough to play WestCon, and they were the 2nd seed in their conference, and we were able to beat them pretty good, which we were expecting a good game. And then the other game that was in the New England Bowl Series was Endicott and Dean, which was Endicott was the 2nd place school from the CCC conference. And then Dean was actually the winner of the ECFC conference, but they had just became full Division III from JUCO, and they hadn't kind of fully transitioned over. So they weren't eligible for the NCAA playoffs. So they were in the bowl game instead of the playoffs. And SUNY Maritime, 2nd place team, was actually in the playoffs and got walloped. But.
Yeah, I know those schools very well. It's just, just from living up here and, having relatives that that went and played there and friends that played there, you get to know these schools a lot, and they become like extensions. Like, me and Creek, we played at the same high school, as others have known on the show. And, just being up in that area, you get to know all the schools. My cousin, Ed Wiltshire, he played at WestCon for a while as a wide receiver. So I know those schools pretty well, and Endicott, and I didn't know that Dean was able to play at that level now, because I thought they were a junior college, but I guess they've moved up. They've moved up, and their programs changed, I guess, right? Am I right? Yeah, I didn't know that. So it's just new things I'm learning every day about that conference and the schools up here. So just another question. I didn't know. I know you're not a defensive guy, but can you just give us a framework of the defense?
Yeah, so they're a 3-4 front with 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, and I like to say it as you never know who's going to be the 4th guy rushing. Try to mix it up, whether it's blitzing or whether it's just the normal kind of rush. and they're a base 2 high structure that can move and do some different things. And I know the last time we played, we were pretty creative with different things we did on defense. So we'll see kind of what happens, and that's credit to Scott Sperone, who was our defensive coordinator the past 3 years. He's actually now the head football coach at Fitchburg State, Massachusetts state school up here. And then Coach Robertson is a defensive guy too, our head coach. So it's kind of was their brainchild. So kind of see what we do now different with just Coach Rob kind of doing it as well. So we'll see.
Nice. So let's just get into the core of Coach Kelly. Creek, do you have any questions anything you want to say first?
Core of Coach Kelly. Well, do you have your own personal motto that you go by, what gets you up every day and gets you moving and gets the blood pumping?
So I'm motivated by constantly bettering my best. So whatever my best was what it was yesterday. Whether it's just reading a book that helps me out, whether it's listening to a great podcast, whether it's talking to you guys and being able to recruit better, whether it's being a better son. And one of the things during the quarantine and pandemic world that we're kind of living now is calling my mom every day, which I didn't do all the time before. But whether it's being a better son, whether it's being a better friend. And one of the things I've done too is to try to reconnect more with coaches at our level and high school level and other colleges and whatnot, just to friends that normally we'd have like the coaching convention or whatever it may be, but everybody's kind of doing the same stuff, just to be a better person one way or another each day is kind of what works for me. And then that your best for 6 is kind of what I'm going to keep in my head all the time. It's just, instead of 6, it's going to be for every day or in every second.
Nice. So I just wanted to ask you, what we always ask to, for the offensive and defensive coaches, what type of guy you look for, like when you're recruiting, like, for running backs, for quarterbacks, for tight ends, and even linemen, like what kind of attributes do you look for in, like, each guy, or do you have a specific trait or type of abilities you look for? Like, for example, in your quarterbacks, do you like strong arm guys? Do you like cerebral guys? Or do you like, athleticism? Like, can you just, elaborate on that for us a little bit?
Yeah, I can talk to you forever. So I'll try to go a little quick here when I go through each position, because I can actually go through it.
It's fine. We have time.
Yeah. So the quarterback, it's kind of different. So if it's something where I'm able to really talk to them and they're able to be like at a camp for us, or I'm able to see them at a camp, I can evaluate differently. But say we're just looking off of film, which say like right now, it's kind of what the world is. Well, hopefully that changes as we go forward towards the summertime with camps, hopefully able to happen and stuff. But if I was just looking at film, the first thing I look for is actually accuracy. And the reason I do that is I look at it as that's one of those things that you kind of naturally have a baseline of. I don't think you can necessarily teach it. I just think you can only refine it and better it, if that makes sense. Like if you throw a catchable and accurate ball, you do. You can kind of work on some arm strength things. You can work on feet. You can work on different parts of mechanics. But being accurate, throwing a catch ball is something that just kind of naturally happens. So that's one of the first things to look for film-wise. And then I look at mechanics, and I don't necessarily look like, oh, my God. Like I was a quarterback growing up, but I had to move to receiver because I had the weakest arm ever. I could pitch, and that's about it. But I don't necessarily look for pure just arm strength. It's just, can you make the throws we need you to make? We're not at the Division I level. We're making far hash to the opposite sideline.
Can you get it there?
Yeah, we're just not doing that. Well, can we with our court? Yeah, but we're not doing that every single time. So it's not a what's your level of expectation kind of thing. So I obviously do look at arm strength, but I look at the mechanics. Are they consistent or not? Because if they're consistent and it's good, then heck yeah, we're good to go. They don't need to be taught as much when it comes to individual stuff. But if their mechanics are flawed and it's consistent, it means that that's kind of ingrained in their body. There's not as much things I can do to kind of overcome that in 4 years. So those are the kind of the big things I look for in film. And then when I'm able to talk to them, I want to know that they're like their teammates actually like them, that they're like a leader. It's kind of the movie Draft Day, when no one went to the quarterback's birthday party there. How are they going to make him?
Yeah.
That's what I think about. Like, he's going to be the leader of your program, whether he's a captain or not. The quarterback's a leader. they're the leader in the huddle. It's there. It's all those kind of things. So they got to be able to have people just kind of normally just gravitate to them, whether they're a true leader and vocal or all those kind of things. So I look for that. And then I'm kind of, I guess I can say it's mean, I guess, to recruit. So sorry, I apologize for it. It's a test a little bit, but I'll, if they send me like little like highlight videos or training videos, I'll poke like a little hole in one of their mechanical things or whatever it may be, just to see how they react to coaching. Because they're going to have to deal with me for 4 years on a personal level more than anybody else. So I'll kind of, not like in a negative way, but just be like, oh, have you ever tried like your off arm doing this, or maybe with your lead foot doing this a little bit, or maybe a little bit to the left, maybe you're more focused on your elbow, or your hands on top of the ball, or little tiny things. One, to see if they notice it and look back at it, and two, to see how they respond. Like, oh, I'll work on that, or oh, I've never thought of that, or no, I have the best mechanics in the world. Well, I might not be able to work with you. Mm-hmm. It might be just your confidence, and maybe it's okay. It's just one interaction, but like I do that as kind of a little test to see how we're going to interact together. So I do probably too much when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks, but they're a different position, I think, than anybody else. I know a whole lot.
Real quick, you hear that, quarterbacks? You hear that? Respond to coaching.
Yeah, maybe that secret there, but
well, you know what? Well, so while we're on that, let me interject. If you come across a quarterback, and a lot of these, athletes now have quarterback coaches, and they're taught a certain way to do things. Have you ever run across, or how would you deal with a situation where it's like, well, I was taught this way by so and so, so this is how I want to do it,
I'm maybe either the nicest or maybe least stubborn quarterback coach ever. Because to me, if you're getting all that work in and it's positive, do it. I have a couple of things that like I need when it's like the way I teach timing, because it matches with all our routes and all of our concepts and how we read things and how you stay in the pocket and flow in the pocket. That's one of my like must-haves. Certain mechanical things, like I used to be like, oh, your arm angle needs to be exactly this, and your lead foot needs to do exactly this, and the ball needs to come through exactly this angle. But guess what? I'm not the one throwing it. They are. So whatever's going to work for them, it works. Whether it's perfect or not, if they can do what I need them to do, all for it. Because I look at it like I talked about too. Like there's only so many things you can correct after however long they've been training. So what's the point of making it worse or making it different? I know for me, the biggest thing I always have to adjust, and it's usually not from guys with quarterback training, but it's usually their base that's usually way too narrow. You need to widen it out a little bit. That's usually the biggest thing for me that I can focus on and actually do. And like arm slot, it might be different. I used to be like exactly like it should be a 3/4 quarter style and not sidearm, not straight over the top and like a certain angle and all these kind of things puts the least amount of stress in the elbow. Shoulder's fine, you can hold up it. But some kids that it comes out uncatchable or it's crappy or they're whatever. So if you looked at all our quarterbacks, they wouldn't be robots and carbon copies of each other like that. And that's just because no one is a robot and no one is a carbon copy of anybody else. So I might be the quarterbacks out there. It might be the best when it comes to that. If you have a quarterback coach, I'm fine with it as long as it fits within our structure. I'm good with it.
I always say it's hard to defeat muscle memory, especially muscle memory gained over decades, because you figure if a kid's playing quarterback, it's not one of those positions that say, okay, like wide receiver or running back, where you had a lot, not saying all, but a lot haven't played their career. Usually, if you're a quarterback, you've been a quarterback since Pop Warner, so you got to figure that's over thousands of throws that people are expecting you to correct and retrain within 4 years, and in some cases even faster. So, I'm an advocate of just saying the same way, hey, as long as our timing is right, however you throw it, it's how you throw it, as long as it's there, and getting there. So I can understand that. So, on to our second favorite position on offense. Well, actually, our favorite position on offense, running back. Running back, because Creek was a running back, pretty good one. So, what do you like in your running backs?
So I'm going to differ a little bit from like our running back coach would say. And that's because I expect every running back to be super versatile and be able to do everything. And I know that's not always the case, but that's kind of what I look for is versatility, is to be able to one, obviously run the ball first, because that's what your position even says in it. It says running back. So if you can't run with the ball, you're playing somewhere else. But the ability to catch the ball in the backfield too, because that makes our offense so much more multi-dimensional. And I think why we've had so much success and why defenses play the way we do when we give them vertical stress by our running backs out of the backfield. And then the ability to be physical and block. One of the things that was phenomenal about our two tailbacks that we've had the past couple of years is both of them would block for one another. We could have them both in the backfield and they could block. They could block for our quarterback, and it didn't matter. They didn't sulk about it. Maybe some were better than others, or maybe some it was just I'm just going to cut people down, as one of our guys would say. But you're still willing to go do that. And then when you look at kind of their running style, I don't necessarily go to, are they too upright or are they too low? It's just, do they make people miss? That's one of the things I think is a tougher thing to teach as well. You can naturally make people miss. And do they have good balance? So it's like if they bounce off of somebody, can they steady themselves and keep going? Can they bounce in the hole? Can they do those little things to extend plays? Can they fall forward? I think that's one of our I guess, second of the two tailbacks, even though I think of them as both number one. Our guy there, Connor Field, number 7, I don't think he's ever not fallen forward every time he carried the ball throughout his career, which is something that's a special kind of trait that we have. And he also used to have slithery hips, whereas our guy there, Sean McGowan, number 4, the all-time leading rusher, he would just run by you. So he had that going. He was pretty tough too, but he would just be able to run by. He was faster than anybody else in the field every game we played.
Nice. Actually, I think we got Anthony. You got to see him play at the Dream Bowl. One of our dream athletes is looking for a school. He's a running back. Is looking for a school with an engine because he wants to study engineering. So maybe WPI would be a good fit for him.
yeah. I'll send you his information after when we get off and stuff like that. But
Let's go to the line. I'm interested in the line now.
So the line is the most underrated best part of the offense. Like as I've gotten older, I've appreciated line play a lot more.
Yeah.
It is. And I will say, so for me, that was my first coaching opportunity. I coached offensive line, and I am not an offensive lineman. I wouldn't be like beating down the table here saying I'm an offensive line coach, but it's a great experience for me to be a coordinator and know what goes on down in that area and kind of know what they need and know what they're successful at. And I'll even say this, if people have watched us over the past 2 years. So my first year, we used to run inside zone with all these different variations, and we do a big, huge kind of efficiency breakdown and yards per, all these kind of things of all of our run and pass game. We found out we were awful at it. And it was because our O-linemen were better at down blocking and pulling when they had angles to kind of use their momentum, and they were pulling and getting on linebackers or DBs.
Counter.
Power became our number one play because it fits what our offensive linemen do. And we might be one of the only schools in America. We didn't run inside zone once last year. Actually, we haven't in 2 years combined. So kind of a little wrinkle that, who knows, maybe things will change, but as all those offensive linemen are graduating, trying just in case there's defensive coaches from other schools listening, don't want to give them the secrets that we run power, shockingly. But
that's not what we do.
Yeah, but everything bases off of the big boys up front. So I'll even say that when we look for that, the first thing we look for is what happens with their feet on contact. Do they stop? Are they catchers? Or are they deliverers? Are they driving their feet once contact is made? That's the biggest thing we look for. Even bigger than, now obviously we're going to look for finish and we're going to look for their feet and look for all those things. But bigger than just seeing a pancake, because you might be 3 times the size of the person you're going against, is seeing what do your feet do on contact. So that's going to be the indicator when someone's just your size or bigger, because that's, I think, the biggest transition. And we actually have in my past 3 years each year one guy who has worked its way through. But I think that's the toughest position to play as a freshman. Because the defensive linemen in our league, I mean, you talk to the coaches at Springfield, like their defensive line, the guys at Norwich, I mean, I don't feel confident with a freshman offensive lineman who hasn't been in the weight room for 4 years trying to block any of those guys. I mean, just looking at our practice day, whenever we get to inside run, when it's day 3 or whatever it may be, like they're like, whoa, like that's a big change trying to block a 4-year defensive lineman when you're an offensive lineman and just used to being bigger than people. But it all starts there, so we got to do whatever we can to get the best guys up front.
So yeah, I can see that. You gotta have some maulers down on there and stuff like that. So that's what you look for. But one thing I wanted to ask too. So your recruiting territory is where, Coach?
So I have New York, the entire state, and then we've kind of changed it around a little bit. But I will have New York and then Maine. which would be a little different. So kind of for us in our like direct regions, it'll be one of the lower spots and one of the northernmost spots. And then any national quarterback, tight end, and receiver right now. So national for us is outside of the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So anyone not in those states is a national recruit for us.
Okay, because I know Coach Cam Gravina has Jersey, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I talked to him. Shout out to Coach Cam. You know, he asked. We had a showcase a little while ago, and he asked for some information from us. So, you know, he's out there with his nose to the ground, trying to sniff up some diamonds from our area. So, shout out to him and stuff like that. But you know, where do the majority of your athletes on the team come from?
Like, so, majority would be Massachusetts.
Okay.
And then we do have, actually we're just doing the numbers now. Our second most represented state would be New York. Okay. And then following very close after that would be Connecticut. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I saw you had a kid from Miami on the team. You had a cornerback from Miami. So you guys are going all the way down there.
Well,
we're a national academic school, so we do have some national states represented. We've had a young man who's about to graduate who's from Mexico. We've had a guy on our team before, was a quarterback way before, was from Hawaii. We got 3 kids from California. We've had kids from North Carolina, Georgia. We've got them all over Utah. So it's Washington. We're well represented, not necessarily like 5 or 6 kids, but a couple kids each year. It kind of adds up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Jersey's been good to us. So I know it's a Jersey area, so I gotta say that, but it's been good to us.
we're hoping that we can help it be a little better for you, saying as well and stuff like that.
I will say we don't necessarily have huge numbers. I think we've got like 8 guys right now from New Jersey, but they've all been as they graduate, kind of the big players for us. Have been big impact, I would say.
Yeah, we like I said before, we're a small state, but we're mighty. We're tiny but mighty. You know, we're packed full. You know, it's almost like I feel that sometimes with Jersey we're like an overstuffed bag. Like an overstuffed bag of Skittles. We got so many Skittles in the bag that we're bursting, but they're all good. They're all good. We got a lot of great talent out here, in a lot of these counties. So, shout out to the head coaches, the players out there. You might want to keep WPI on your radar and stuff like that because from what we can hear right now, it seems like for an offensive guy, it's a pretty fun and explosive place to play at.
Yes,
I kind of remind you with the way you were talking, about how you take deep shots and stuff like that, and that you prefer big plays. It kind of reminded me of like Bruce Arians right now. Like Bruce Arians, he likes to throw deep, he likes to take shots. He's not really concerned overall with crazy accuracy because he knows that if you throw 5 passes and 3 of them are deep shots, 2 of them might connect. So there a lot of people are willing to trade, 70-80% accuracy for, getting chunk yardage. So I can get with that. And he likes to run the ball too. So we see how that worked out for him this year.
So, we run legitimately everything you can think of that we do. I think we throw screens. We throw them certain different ways. I call them quick games, like the bubbles. We do those screens. We do the 1-count screens that are quicker. We do 2-count screens, and we motion it through and do different ways to get to it. We run draws all the time. So you're not always knowing too. It's like, it's 3rd and long, and they're just going to throw it. So it's kind of one of those things. It's 1st down. They're just going to run and hand the ball off and run power. You don't really know what's coming at you is the goal and who's getting the ball too. The best thing for us, I think, is having all the different playmakers that we had. You never know who was trying to get the ball in any scenario. It was wherever was open is who we were getting it to.
Put the guys in space and let them go.
Exactly.
So that's I think that's the mantra of a lot of teams, a lot of college and NFL teams now. Is just like we see the evolution of offense. It used a lot of times used to be conventional pro style. Put it all on the quarterback. Now it's just like get your athletes out there, get your athletes the ball as quickly as they can, and like you said, make them miss. Make them miss and make a play. So, I think that's where, football's going right now, because everybody's so much faster now. Like, you got big guys, 6'4", 260, 270 guys running 4.5s now. So, plays don't have that much time to develop anymore. You got to get it out quickly. So,
and I would even say for that, like, we're an offense that's always going to have a tight end and a fullback, and our fullbacks and tight ends have been able to kind of stress people that way too, because they're not just a lineman who's there in that spot. Like, they're athletic people. And I kind of look at the NFL version of stuff, and you look at Greg Kittle there for the 49ers, or even like to go back, and Kelsey. It's like, how do you defend that?
I'm a 49ers fan, so thank you.
Well, start with Kittle at least for you,
but hey, man, like, you're right. How they use it. I've seen, like, I was watching games and I see how they use these guys. I was like, they had these guys running jet sweeps. They had like tight ends running jet sweeps, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like,
think of the draft right now. Think of Kyle Pitts out of Florida.
I was just getting ready to say that.
I remember kind of back through when I'm a big draft guy. I used to actually go to the draft every year. It was like a father-son thing we used to do. Mm-hmm. And I remember the big one for me, the first one was Vernon Davis. He has a tight end. It was a 4.4, and everybody was like
4.38.
Yeah, exactly.
What did they do with that? You just see guys and they get so much bigger and faster, and you just figure out, like, I don't want to drift too much into the NFL, but you see guys and you're just looking at them like, look at these guys. Like, I actually watched some tape of one of Creek's from Creek's team. He's an Alabama fan, so I watched some film of what's his name?
Jay Harris.
Of Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
And I'm looking at this guy. This
high school, right?
Not even high school. Just NFL. This guy's like 6'3", maybe 250, 260, and he's cutting and running away from guys like 30 pounds smaller, and I'm just like where are they finding these guys at? Like, these are definitely lab created guys. Like, I have to question, like some of these people. I was like, when I watched the Olympics, I had to question Michael Phelps. I'm like, man, no, there's no way that this guy is a regular human. Like, he was created in the lab specifically to win gold medals for us. but and I might be right. So I don't want the Men in Black coming to get me, but I could be right. But I see, what you like in your offense, how it's diversified, and how explosive it is, because you've had a couple of games where you've put up 70 points.
I would say this, and it was to Norwich. I know Norwich was just on you guys did Coach Russell last week. It was awesome. Yeah. I was to say, so when I started coaching, a lot of my roommates and fellow first-year coaches actually played for him at Norwich. He's someone that I not necessarily have a mentor himself, but like would hear a lot of things about how great of a coach he is and stuff like that, and learn from him through them. So definitely someone I look up to too. But yeah, I mean, and it wasn't even trying, to be honest with you. Like, we had no intent, like we're trying to do that. It just was, when we touched the ball, we scored. And it was one of those things that just happens.
Sometimes it's like that in football, man. Sometimes that's just how it is, man. I don't want to get into any given Sunday cliches or in your case, Saturday.
But to give a little bit on that, I think we had, thinking real quick in my head, we had 3 games where every single time we touched the ball in the first half, we scored.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's just a testament to, the guys that you have, and, just your offense, and, people, the kids obviously believe in your offense. They're vested in it. They know the offense well, because if you're clicking like that, that's basically saying, your offense is how do I say this, has been digested, and the guys are doing their jobs, and they're knowing what they're doing. So, that's just a testament to your coaching. So, if all your guys know what they're supposed to do, and you guys are clicking how you're supposed to click, hey, man, got to take credit for that.
I'd like to, but I think we lose 35 seniors off our team from that squad, so it might just be that they were used to doing it. We'll see. Hopefully, it was us as coaches, but I got to give the credit to the kids first and foremost.
Hey man, shoot! Shout out to them guys. You guys had a great season. That 10-1 season, that's incredible. So
Coach, let me ask you this. I don't mean to change the tune, but on the business end of things, right? You guys got nice facilities. It looks good or whatever. What type of assistance is WPI able to offer, athletes? Is there I don't think an advantage, but is there additional assistance to athletes as opposed to a regular student, or what kind of aid?
Academic, I guess you'd say.
Well, academically or just any aid period, in order to go there,
I would say so. Where athletics isn't different at the Division III level when it comes to any kind of financial difference. But what I think, obviously, just as the school itself is the opportunity to have the numbers you started before, over $70,000 as an average starting salary. But then you look at just the being part of a football program as a tighter family, and you think of it's been 126 years of football here. Think of all those graduating classes and what they've done on their careers and where they've gone and how many people they know, and think about how they give back and come back and do different things to grow our community and our network. And then you think of the thing with our team is you think of sometimes going to a big school or say like a state school or a huge school, you're an engineering student on the team. Well, you're probably the only one. You look at our team, that's the majority of the team. We have a business program, a lot of business kids, and computer science is similar in the different labs and stuff they do, but like that's your team. So it's another built-in support system that's not even us as coaches. That's just kind of your team is going through the same thing. It's not like your roommate's an English major where you've got labs until hopefully not this late, but like 2 a.m. and then they're just writing a paper that's due tomorrow, like a haiku, like a 3-word poem or something. Like they're going through the same struggle. So it's a deeper, I think, brotherhood that's built, but it's also, what they're going through. You kind of know like, hey, they might need help with this chemistry stuff. Or the upperclassmen in our program do a phenomenal job of helping out the younger guys right now. I think that's kind of one of the little disconnects we have right now with the not having as many like big group things that we're able to do, just kind of getting them all together. It's different virtual, obviously, than in person, but that's everybody in the pandemic world trying to deal with the smaller groups. But to have that built-in support system, I think is huge. And then us as coaches, I think that's one of the things we do best is I think we worry about the holistic approach to student athlete development, not just what you do on the football field. I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's about making them the best person possible. And sometimes that's academics first. Sometimes it's social life first. There might be things that they're struggling with connecting, or some of our guys have admitted like it's tougher. It goes faster here. So we do quarters. They call them terms instead of a whole semester. So it's 7 weeks at a time with 3 classes, which I never had to go through, so I don't know. But personally, I think that's better because you're focused on only 3 things for a short amount of time span. But if you're going through 7 weeks of material, it goes fast. So sometimes it transitions a little bit and admit that like, well, in high school, my day was planned out for me. I didn't have to plan it out. I didn't have to worry about when I was going to do my homework or when I was going to meet with my group for my group project or when I was going to eat to make sure we gain weight and can do stuff in the weight room and on the field, like all those little things. And they'll come to us and they'll talk to us, but they'll come to their teammates and they'll do that. And I think that's one of the things that makes us successful is we build more than just what you do on the football field. And that's where you're successful afterwards too. I look at our 35 seniors, all of them within 6 months afterwards, whether they're in grad school or had a job. Some of our seniors now have their job offer ready to go or have been going on interviews throughout the fall too. So it's one of those things where you're prepared for what you're going to do afterwards. And I look at, I guess, a little differently. Everybody thinks it's always cool to say like the 40-year decision. I think for us, it's forever because it's never going away. It's not just 40 years. So hopefully you live longer than that. So it's not one of those that all of a sudden it goes away. It's not a 4-year decision. It's forever that you think of our program and the good things you can do for communities, for yourself, for future of the generations and things like that. It's one of those where be the best you can absolutely be. And I think that's what we focus on for each individual. And sometimes it can be tough because you got to talk to everybody to help them out. And not everybody always wants to say, hey, I need help. But kind of getting that and making sure everybody is the best they can possibly be is what our brand is, I would say, and what makes us successful and why we've been successful over the past couple of years.
Nice.
Well, Anthony, you can ask your question.
What were you saying?
No, I was just saying I'll step up my podium there for a little bit, but
no, Coach. Listen, we want you to talk. We want you to talk about the school because we want everybody to get a base idea of what your program is all about. Because obviously you're running a pretty good ship right now, and from what we're seeing, the collectiveness, the coaching staff is permeating down to your players, and you guys are having a lot of success right now. So, of course, we definitely like to hear it. Shoot, we have, like I said, we have time. We're live, and we have a lot of people watching, and so we want to elaborate on that. We want you to know. We want you to get that out there. So. As long as you're on the show, you always have a platform to say what you want about your program and get it out there. Because right now, as an offensive guy, I'm loving to hear this. I love defense too. So no slight to the defensive coaches. I love hard hitting defense too. But I'm an offensive guy. I love scoring and just hearing.
Well, I always joke to our defensive guys, your job is just to get us the ball. We're the ones who's got to score. Kidding. Like our defense actually scored, I think. Not this past year because they just did a really good job, but the past couple of years have scored touchdowns too. But no, they actually did this past year, so I take that back. But their job is to get us the ball. Our job is to score.
Okay, yeah. So as Creek, do you have a question? Do you have a question you want to put out there?
No, say you can ask them. How you like to ask the questions about the fun and the combinations.
oh yeah. So just really quickly. As we are, basically a recruiting service and things like that. What are your thoughts on, just recruiting services as a tool, that kids can use, just to help themselves, be a little bit more visible or recruiting wise. What are your thoughts on that? Just
I don't have, I guess, true concrete thoughts when it comes to that. I think every kid in their recruiting process is different. And I even for us, I don't necessarily get, I'm obviously not happy, but I wouldn't say I get upset if someone decides to go somewhere else. We wish they came to us. That's why we recruit them and spend all the time getting to know them and build a relationship and all those things. But everybody's different. I think it's whatever works for them to get their name out there or the notoriety of the schools that they want to go to, whatever platform they need to get there, I think is kind of the way to go. I don't think I'm in someone's pocket or in someone ever to say what they should spend and not spend money on kind of thing. I think that's up to them. But I think it's whatever it needs to be done for them to feel like they're getting their way. And I know nowadays everybody thinks they're slept on or not getting enough attention. So whatever you need to feel confident about it, and whatever you need really to be able to get the most information to make the decision. I know the more information you get about our school, you want to come here, but everywhere else too is sometimes that might be what you need. You might think of just, it had great facilities, but the kids aren't tight in the program or something, whatever it may be. There's more kind of layers to everything. The more information you can get, sometimes it's through a service, sometimes it's just talk with a coach, or sometimes it gets connected to the right coach. So it's, I don't know, I look at it, it's all different per person. So I don't have concrete thoughts on that one.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So quickly, we forgot to elaborate on this, and I'm sorry about that. Let's talk about facilities, because I know you had said that a lot of new things have been put in, since the last time I visited. So, I just want to know, what are the new facilities that are available to a student athlete at WPI?
So when I had first gotten here was the year after they had opened. So it's been 7 years, I guess. It's still, to me, pretty new, single-digit years. But our rec center facility, which is a 4 kind of layered or 4-floored system, where it's got the Olympic-sized pool on the bottom floor. It's got our second floor, which is more offices, a robotics pit for our robotics competitions that they have on campus. And then they've got something that was new 3 years ago now, was a little study hall area that we have, a student study hall area that's got tables and chairs with a nice GOAT logo on it, that actually connects to our main basketball gym. It's got the third level floor, which is kind of the main rec center gym. So not our varsity athlete gym, but our kind of main area gym with 4 basketball courts. It's got the 2 full wood floors and the 2 full, we call them Mondo courts, the multi-purpose kind of courts structure floor to it. And then our offices as well. That's actually where I'm at right now. And then the 4th floor for us, which is one of the indoor tracks. I don't know the scientific name to say it or the correct name, but it's an 1/8 of a mile, 8 laps for a mile kind of deal in the indoor track. It's got more more cardio equipment and more different gym equipment up there, and actually two meeting rooms as well. Is when we're able to get back into normal meeting size capabilities or capacities in spaces that we're able to do some different kind of position meetings and things like that. It's actually got 3 dance studio rooms in there as well. They're able to partition in or have one big room, and they all have projector kind of hookups and screens to drop down, and that overlooks the quad, which is pretty cool with the kind of quad setup. Not necessarily now with all the snow down there, but when it's in the summertime and everybody's out there playing frisbee and cam jam and spike ball and all those kind of long games.
A lot of people don't know what can jam is, but I do.
that might be my favorite. I think spike ball is probably the biggest one, but cam jam might be my favorite. Anything where you can only use really one hand for the most part and the other hand's busy, I think is a good one.
Don't sleep on can jam, man. Shoot, if you don't know, guys, the can jam's a pretty good party game. It's pretty good.
And then we've got connecting to our gym, our main basketball gym, Harrington Auditorium. We've got our basketball gym, which also has volleyball games in it and some wrestling matches when it's just when it's not a quad type setup. It's just a two team match. And then we've got all of our locker rooms down there, visiting locker rooms as well. Except for football. Our visiting locker rooms are actually underneath in our parking garage. This one's really cool, so I didn't even touch on this part yet. But our parking garage is one layer. Then on top of it is a field. So it's a rooftop field on top of our parking garage. Shout out to being a tech school to be able to pull that off, but I don't think you see that anywhere. But maybe St. John's has some kind of setup like that in New York, and then I think otherwise it's just like overseas, like China or something like that has that kind of capability, which is pretty cool. And then our varsity weight room, we just actually redid it. Some different things. We just moved the flooring up to kind of make it a different kind of look, which looks nice, looks really clean, looks pretty sweet. And then the buildings on campus too, they're working on another building that's supposed to be done for next fall. And two years ago, they opened up it's called the Foisey Innovation Studio, but it has the biggest screen I've ever seen in my life in there. And it's got different kind of classrooms, because you look at all of our buildings, you can tell that they've always been doing something on campus every year of adding to different things in our facilities, whether it's athletics or for the general student body, to make everything a better experience.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I've seen some of the buildings, and I've seen especially, I can't remember what building that is that's overlooking the football field, but I've went in there for some alumni stuff. I remember, and it was gorgeous. Like a lot of stuff is just gorgeous. And it's new, and the way the field is set up, I love that too. It's beautiful, Just
you got the people walking down Park Ave can turn and look and watch the game for a little bit too,
which I think is really cool. You just walking by and you say, "Hey, look at them chucking the ball around and scoring and running all over everybody real quick." So yeah, I think that's really cool. So Creek, you got any other questions?
No, man. From what I saw, Westwood Polytech looks like an amazing school. The facilities look very, very nice. You definitely get a great education, coming out of there. So, very impressed, and anyone who wants to study anything, but engineering, anything in computer science, WPI is a good option. And if you like offense and you like to score, they may be a fit for you.
Remember, recruits. Remember, guys. Coach Kelly says, if you get caught on the first thing, you sit down. If you get caught on the first move, you sit. So you might want to make that double move and try to make a play. So
when I say you sit, though, it just means you could be in the next play after that, but you're out for it.
He says you got if you want 2 plays in a row.
Well, so speaking of that came from a different way. So we actually had a coach way before that I learned from. I forget exactly where it was, but if say a running back or receiver or whatever, and afraid of contact, if it wasn't a 2-minute kind of situation where you're saving clock time, but they ran away and ran out of bounds instead of finishing the run, you would be pulled for that. So that's something where I don't necessarily enforce that one, because sometimes it's the right play, but that's where I got the idea from.
Hey, that's the thing. A lot of kids need to know about finishing runs and just taking care of business and stuff like that. Especially as a running back, I'm a type of coach where I'm like, if you start to see contact, speed up. because a lot of defense, a lot of cornerbacks aren't expecting that. They're expecting you to make a move or slow down. I'm always like, if you see two guys speed up, sometimes you never know. You know, you may be able to slam through them, or you might be able to get some positive yardage out of a play you think you weren't going to be able to get anything out, get anything done. So,
because we're not blocking anyway, but
I'm an advocate of that. So, one thing I wanted to say before I got off is this has nothing to do with you, Coach Kelly or Creek. I want to talk about the Cam Newton situation because I want to get that out to kids. And I just want to say one thing. Today's youth, respect is earned. And to be able to even talk to a man like that, of that stature, requires equal or superior accomplishments. Humility will get you further than hubris. Listen more than you speak. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. So, like I'm always saying, that kids, you gotta be humble. You never know how these guys can help you. And people who have done it, who have been there before, and have done great things. It's more important to listen to those guys than to talk about your accomplishments, because unless you've done anything personally or for your community or for humanity, period, it's better off that you listen. Especially on here, on this platform that we're doing, we're just here to educate and, just put information out here so you can use it for yourself, because, a lot of the older guys, we didn't have this type of thing. We didn't have, these types of platforms and these type of, Twitter and Facebook and, TikTok and all that, to have people on there take time out of their lives to talk to you about opportunities that you may be able to reach. So just please, guys, just always listen before you talk, and just try to glean as much information from those that know, because, as we all know, as humans, we're always learning. To the day you die, to the day you go on the grave, you're learning something new every single day. And like Coach Kelly says, and there, try to better yourself as a person every day. If you better yourself as a person every day, you in turn make your community and the earth a smidge bit better. And with that being said, Coach Kelly, we'd like you to just stay on with us after we log off. To everybody else, just check out for showcases, Recruit Nation. We have our showcase series that's happening right now. Go to football.recruitnationelite.com to check out showcases and when they'll be in your area next. And again, with that being said, this is Recruit Nation Football signing off. Peace, love, and we'll see you next time.
Coach, thanks for being here. Hey, actually, sorry, Anthony, real quick. Coach, is there any information that players and athletes and anyone can follow you on social or anything? Do you have any of that?
Yep. So my Twitter is it's at Coach M Kelly, but the M and the K are both capitalized, and then WPI at the end of it. And then for all our Jersey guys, Coach Ravina is Coach Grav. It's at Coach and then GRAV, and he's our running back coach, Coach Cam Ravina.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
He's looking for athletes.
Yeah. So thanks again, Coach Kelly. Recruit Nation, Dream Scouting Network. If you need us, reach out to us.
Yes. All right, guys. Till next time. Coach, stay on with us after this so we can talk about some other stuff. Take it easy, fellas.